So what do you want to be when you grow up?
A newscaster.
A newscaster? Why?
Because I want to be on TV, and my dad was once a newscaster.
Your dad was a newscaster?
Uh-huh.
What happened in Manhattan?
The Twin Towers own like 2 buildings, so something bad happened.
Now, if you were the newscaster and you had to deliver news like that, how would you do it?
I would be saying it loud and clear so they can all hear.
I was 4 years old when the Twin Towers were built, and I never would have thought that one day I'd be living right next door. The tallest building where I grew up was only 3 stories high. As a kid, I was taught to enjoy the simple things in life. My grandparents lived in a very cool junkyard where all of us kids used to play. We even found some beauty in those old, rusted-out cars. A lot of my relatives are homeless, but for the most part, they're still happy. And my dad, he's a Hell's Angel who lives up in the mountains with no electricity and no running water, so I'm pretty comfortable in modest environments. I've traveled to most of the third world countries so I could learn from people who still appreciate life's most basic things like food, shelter, clothing. There's no bullshit, and I don't like bullshit. Which is why I've never been particularly fond of most grown-ups. In fact, my last 2 projects have been about kids. Actually, I have a lot in common with kids. I don't like fine dining or fancy hotels, really any place where you have to dress up. And I still think it's a lot of fun riding in the front of a subway car. I live 1 stop north of the Twin Towers and work on Wall Street. I mean, I can afford nice things. I just prefer the simpler things in life. This is my home. The upstairs was just a simple tar roof, but the view was unbelievable. So I drew up some blueprints and hired a few contractors to make some changes. My company's headquartered right next to the World Trade Center, and my loft is just a few blocks north. A couple months ago, my vision was finally realized. I even used it as a set in my last film about the difficulties of kids who are being raised by porn moms. I never would have dreamed that in just a few days, thousands of children would have a much, much bigger concern. Suddenly, nothing seemed simple. I filmed in horror as I watched more than 24 people jump from the Twin Towers to their deaths. I stood there as each one of the towers collapsed. It felt like they were falling in slow motion. I got down to the street and ran as fast as I could from the debris cloud that was right behind me. I was suddenly without a home, water, electricity, gas, phone, and I didn't care. because I was certain that some of the people in the trade center were people I knew. The next day, I met a cop who snuck me into Ground Zero in exchange for a set of my photographs. These are the steps leading to my company's headquarters. My executive producer's office is here as well. The offices had been completely destroyed, and the windows were all blown out. The stock market was closed. This is how it looked just outside. I knew it would take days to find out how many people were buried in the piles of metal, and I wondered just how many I'd know. There were thousands of flyers with faces of missing loved ones, and everywhere you turned there were pictures of parents and their children. But the very first flyer that caught my eye showed the picture of a little boy with his mother who was missing. Her name is Michelle Lanza. Before I knew it, I was on my way to the one borough I'd never stepped foot on, and to a town I'd never even heard of, to meet the family of Michelle Lanza and her 7-year-old son, Nicholas. They live in Staten Island, in the last town in New York, the little town of Tottenville. Nicholas and his mom live on the top floor of the big blue house. He played with his toys on the front porch as he waited for his mom to come home. I continued driving to Nick's grandparents, just a few houses up the block. Michelle has 2 sisters, and they both live there as well. Has there been any news?
All right. I'll talk to you.
Just wait and call.
All right.
Who's inside? It's Susan and Robert. Nicholas looked just like he did in the flyer.
Robert's inside.
He had no idea that his mother was missing.
He's in here with the pastor. Come on inside. Every time you turn around, there's a neighbor. They brought up huge containers of potato salad, coleslaw, macaroni salad. They've come in with trays of baked ziti, eggplant. And when we've turned around, you're at the door.
Yeah.
It's really something.
How have the neighbors found out what's going on?
Because of the television.
There's people that we know, and they know where we work, and
Yep.
and this is kind of a big family neighborhood where everybody kind of looks for everybody. Then I ask where Michelle is.
How is everything? And you say, well, Michelle is missing. She was living away in Virginia for years. She just came back this past year. She only lives a few doors away.
And you're a friend of the family?
Just a friend. I'm Pastor Mike Gibney, and she has attended our church, and I've been a friend of the family.
And they asked you to come in to possibly talk to Nicholas, who's 7 years old?
Yes.
What does Nicholas know right now?
I just told him that something has happened. He's been down to World Trade Centers. He's been up on her floor in her office a few times. If you were to come out and say, what do you think about the World Trade Centers getting blown up? He'll pick it up that quick.
Right.
That mom, hey, this is where she worked at. So like I said, I don't want to get his mindset thinking that mom's gone. And then 2 days later, he pops up.
It's been how many days now?
3. In the next few days, if something doesn't come up, then we're going to have to tell them that there is a possibility that, Mom may not be coming back. We don't know yet. But just...
How does Nicholas go to school or just hang out with his friends without them talking about the World Trade Center?
He hasn't been in and out. So the neighbor has come and said, we'll take care of him, kept him away from TV since Tuesday and radio. He's been staying there. But this morning she called me and she said, I think you should get him today because he's too quiet.
So he knows something is wrong.
Especially the bond between the mother and the child automatically picks that up.
They were the center of each other's worlds, both of them. He was hers and she was his complete center.
Yeah.
So when I picked him up from school, he was running down the stairs. There was something in New York City, but it wasn't my mom's building, so I don't have to worry. So he knew something happened because they were all clammed together in the cafeteria.
Had you come out and tell them that somebody ran a jetliner into a building and blew the thing up, and possibly your mother was in there. Yeah.
She's not here. We gotta wait for her to come home. She's lost somewhere in the city. And she's coming back to us. I call these hospitals and everything, and I ask for her, and they tell me she's on a list. And I said, is there anybody that's a Jane Doe? And they tell me no, and I find that hard to believe. That there are no Jane Does out there. People, they don't know who they are. Maybe they have hysterical amnesia. Or maybe she's in shock. And I think Michelle is lost. And she's gonna come back.
No one would think in a million years that someone would take 2 jet planes and crash them into a building filled with people. That's like not real. It's not real. It's almost inconceivable. That is pure evil. Because I know they worship some Allah.
It's been laden. And
What they're worshiping, that's not God.
I think he's a key in back of it, but it would not surprise me at the same time if Hussein actually backed him in it also.
They open up these bodegas, and all of the quick cash items, bubblegum, candy, it's always up front, where it's quick cash and no receipt necessary. And I believe they could accumulate funds and funnel it back to him without any detection at all.
Who all lives in this house?
We all do. We live on this floor, and Cindy lives above us with her husband and 2 children, and Susan resides in
I live in the basement.
When I was in the dollar store, it came up over the radio. They said a plane hit the Twin Towers. And I said to the guy, my God, my sister's in there. Ran all the way home. My heart was pounding. I come in. I called her. Her voicemail came on. I said, please call me as soon as you get this message. I went in the bedroom and the light was flashing.
You came up to tell me that she had left a message, so I went on the assumption that Michelle had made it out. And I didn't know until I saw Willie, after we picked up the kids.
And she works with Willie?
Yes. And I figured she made it out with him. But we haven't heard anything. I was waiting for her to get off the train because I figured if Willie made it home, she did too.
Your children never grow up. They're always children. She's our child.
Care about her. I love her. And she doesn't have to worry about me because he will be taken care of. Because that was her world.
Do you have a copy of that message, by the way?
I do.
Oh, it's on her answering machine.
I don't know if everyone wants to hear that.
I would. I really would. I would.
And I would have to come upstairs. It's in my room.
You have 16 messages.
Oh, I think it erased.
You have 16
Oh, no, okay.
messages. Message 1, Tuesday, 8:51 a.m.
Okay, Cindy, it's May. Listen, there's been a major explosion at the World Trade Center. We don't know if it's a plane hit us or what. We're okay. I'm still in the building. We're evacuating now. I don't know if I'll be heading straight home or what. but I'm okay. We're trying to get groups together now and get down all the stairs and get out of the building. As I find out more, I'll let you know.
She's scared.
Oh, I think it's right.
She's
Yeah, but she's had the presence of mind to call me, talked that long to me.
She was scared, and you could hear the panic.
Yeah, but I don't. That's why I said they're getting a group together. She didn't run.
No. No. Well, you don't.
Who expected a second plane?
She could be out. Although
I
she
think
could
she's
be out.
somewhere out there.
There's still, because I talked to people before, and they said there's still people in shelters in shock, and they're
There's
not
no-
talking.
Who's in the shelters? I didn't hear that.
I heard there's shelters too.
I heard it again today.
There's still shelters.
There's
out
still shelters. There's
You know
still
why,
people
Cindy?
out there.
Because there's a lot of people that are displaced because of these buildings disappearing. There's houses in between there.
And there's people are in shock.
Please, I hear.
Yeah, but you don't want to hear her voice in panic.
You won't
Let me
talk.
get rid of
She put everybody first. Well, she didn't run because she helped other people. That was Michelle.
Nicholas's grandmother, Ethel, asked me to drop off Michelle's hairbrush at the armory for DNA sampling. I asked Richard Reichert, the executive producer, to come along. Strands of hair would have to do until Nicholas and Michelle's mom gave saliva samples. I was still evacuated from the loft, and since I had no phone service so I could make sure everyone I knew was alive, Richard and I started looking at the flyers of all the missing people, hoping we wouldn't recognize any of the faces. We weren't so lucky. The first person we recognized was Scott. He and Richard shared an office together. That's Scott's niece on his lap. He was attending a conference at Windows of the World. Richard was also invited, but decided not to go at the last minute. But his receptionist, Clara, was there. She's an identical twin and has a heart of gold. Clara's best friend is Richard's secretary, Gabriella Wiseman. Gabby has an amazing sense of humor and used to make all my press kits. The last time I saw her was at the screening of our last film. She, too, was at the conference. Gabby is from Argentina, and she's Jewish, and I started wondering how many people from other countries died when the towers collapsed, and were any of those people Muslim. I only found one flyer with a Muslim-sounding name. The man who was missing is from Bangladesh. He worked as a waiter at Windows of the World. That's where the conference was held that Gabby, Scott, and Clara were attending. Several years ago, I was smuggled into Afghanistan from Pakistan through the Khyber Pass, hidden in a toolbox in the back of a pickup. I understood the differences between the Muslim people and the extremists like Osama bin Laden, but a lot of people, like Nicholas's family, didn't.
I came here. I love this country. I'm an American citizen. I pay tax like everybody else. This is a diverse society. And you cannot say somebody, point finger at somebody because he believes in certain religion. That's why this country is so great, because we have a freedom of religion. You cannot discriminate against anybody because the way they look.
People realize if they do hurt Muslims or anybody of Middle East descent, that they're gonna regret it in the future. But obviously I wouldn't like it to happen, but it's inevitable.
Have you felt any prejudice at all?
You get eyeballing, but they call you terrorist or something. And either way, even back in like 2 years ago, I was called terrorist, or some people will look at you awkward or weird, and you just go on with life.
So when they called you terrorist, what did you say to them?
And you just go on. What's more important is that your dad is gone now.
He used to take them to the library since they were that big, you know. Take him to the library every Saturday. She's a valedictorian, and she got all these trophies and everything. She's a very bright student. He taught them how to read Quran. He taught them Arabic, the Quran, the Holy Quran. This way, in this time, in this desperate time, they can study it and feel safe and feel peace within themselves.
Your dad is gone now. You have to go on, protect and go on with your life.
We were all going on with life. I still had no home, but Dan Bjorn, his two sisters, had no father, and Nicholas still had no mom. I needed to collect the saliva samples from Nicholas and his grandmother, so I asked Dr. Gilda, a close friend of mine, to come with me to Tottenville and give me a hand.
Dr. Gilda Carl is an expert on
Dr. Gilda's a therapist and a TV celebrity. Since Nicholas's relatives knew her from television, there was already a level of trust. I thought Dr. Gilda could help them out. They had no idea what to tell Nicholas.
Okay, I want to ask you a question. On Tuesday, you went to school, right?
Yes.
And all of a sudden, they told all the children, you have to go home, right? Yes. What happened?
We had to go home. And we had no homework that day.
Now, you said your mom's missing somewhere.
In New York City.
Where do you think she's missing, honey?
I don't know. We had to use a copter to find her.
A copter? Have you ever been up in a helicopter? I bet you would like to go up in a helicopter.
But I went on a plane once.
You did? Where'd you go?
I went to Walt Disney World with my mom.
Oh, tell me about that story.
When it was the morning, we left in the morning, and guess what? Every time we went through a cloud, it was like struggling to get out of the cloud, and I thought that we were going to crash.
Oh, but you came out okay, didn't you?
Yeah.
Did your mom protect you?
Usually I prayed almost 100 times.
You prayed almost 100 times. I guess your prayers worked.
Yeah.
Figure out how I'm gonna do this here.
Daddy has to read the instructions.
I'm telling you, you definitely have to edit this part. I'm telling you. Okay, little
It's
man.
like a little shortcut ways.
Open up. Don't touch it.
What?
Don't touch it. Open your mouth. We're gonna go around the inside. Nah, stick your tongue back in. I don't want to see that.
Just eat. That's right.
See the other side. Huh?
What's he doing?
Getting rid of the stupid mosquitoes. Duh.
All right.
There's a mosquito in my mouth. Oh, I killed that.
You see? It wanted to come in your mouth, so look at those dimples. Where'd you get those dimples? Your mother has those dimples. I saw those dimples on a picture of Mommy in the house. She has those dimples.
All right, little man. One more time. One more time. Open your mouth.
You did such a good job before.
You get it all out of there. Don't bite it. I can't do it. I can't move it around.
This kid likes to eat. That's
yeah,
why.
he likes his junk food.
When I saw you guys last, Nicholas still didn't know what was going on.
Robert said that he thought it would be too much of a strain, that if he told him that she was gone and she showed up a few days later, it would have affected him even more. So he decided to wait it out. And he didn't tell him until Sunday, last night, that she was missing. And he said, "Where's my mom? I miss my mom."
He said, "You remember when I told you there was an accident in the city and we were waiting on Mom to come home?" So he said, "Yeah." So he said, "Well, so far, the Mom's missing." And at that point, Nicholas was frightened. He was frightened to death. His eyes bulged out and he said, "My mom's missing?" And Bobby said, "No, we just can't locate her yet. And there's a whole bunch of people out there looking for her. And as soon as they find her, well, then she'll be coming home." So he kind of settled back with that.
It's been 6 days.
Mm-hmm.
So of all you sitting there, how many of you still have hope and are holding on to the fact that she may be coming back?
There's many people out there, many John and Jane Does. Yeah. But I don't think it's going to be confirmed because I still believe she's out there.
They're out there.
There are many people out there.
They're tough. They're tough. You get injured in a situation like this, it's amazing how you could sustain yourself days without water.
And I was sick one time, and all I could think about the whole time I was sick, when I had open heart surgery, that all I could think about was, what's going to happen to my kids? And knowing Michelle, she'd think, what's going to happen to Nicholas?
And that would keep you going.
That kept me going. I fought every inch to stay alive so nothing would happen to my kids, and Michelle would be the same way. She'll fight
Pretty much.
tooth and nail.
Pretty much any mom would
She's
do that.
tough. She's with God.
If that's where she is, and I don't think she is yet. You stop breathing. You don't breathe. It doesn't sink in.
You just feel empty.
Yeah.
Just feel like there's a piece of you missing.
Mm-hmm.
Should be sitting alongside of you like it used to be.
She went to work, a normal work day. She should have come home.
You always think things like this happen to other people. All these people just in this little tiny town that nobody ever heard of before. And now there's a lot of emptiness, block after block after block after block. Every block in this town has somebody missing.
Have you seen Nicholas?
Yes. I think he's still in the la la land like everybody else. You know, hoping. His mother was everything for him. Did everything for him.
All of a sudden, you know, his mom can't get home. She's not calling. It's not normal.
Have you been watching Nicholas since the disaster?
Mm-hmm.
We went up to school, and then as we were getting the children, it got more and more chaotic. Screaming, people crying, children were crying. And we saw one of Michelle's co-workers, and Ethel rolled down the window and she yelled out, "Where's my daughter?" And he's like, "Well, I don't know. I tried looking for her and I couldn't find her."
I don't recall the exact time, but I heard One World Trade Center is on fire.
And you're on which floor?
97.
Of World Trade Center 2.
Yeah, I'm in Tower 2. You can actually smell the fuel from the plane. I went to go and look out a window.
What kind of debris did you see when you looked out?
Papers, plane parts. But as I was going to look out a window, I saw people leaving. And Michelle was actually on the opposite side of the floor as me. We would have met at the elevator if we would have, because there's only one elevator bank. There was mobs of people, and security kept telling us, calm down. As I tell you, before those buildings collapsed, and I saw the smoke and I saw the flames, and I had heard that 2 planes had crashed into them. I said to myself, I was never going back.
Will your life ever be the same as it was before this happened?
No, I'll never be the same. I can never see myself going into a tall building ever again. Ever. I won't go above 50 flights ever again.
How did she seem as a mom?
Oh, she was great. There isn't anything that she wouldn't do for that kid. She is very intelligent, very bright, very smart. Couldn't put anything past him. Not at all. She had brought him into work. He just kept going on and on and on and on. He thought I was going home with him. But it turned out I was going on break. She was going home.
Michelle's your break buddy.
Right.
Did you look around for her at any point?
My sole mission was to get down to street level and start looking for people. I got on the elevator, transferred at 78, and then went down to 1 and just left from there. And then I went over to Michelle's parents, and her mom asked me where Michelle was, and I said, I don't know. I didn't see her.
Because now I knew it was going to get emotional here, because now they're worrying about her. She's not home yet. Her co-worker's home. Let me take him down the street. And at that point, Nicholas did ask when his mother was going to be home. And I felt that she was going to come home. And,
now, did he even know there was an accident in New York City?
I think he knew something happened because all the kids were talking about it. And he did say to me that, oh, my mom works on the 96th floor, but I know she's going to be okay.
How do you guys feel about Robert's decision not to tell him?
None of them talked to really Bobby.
No.
The young man is terrified. He's terrified of losing Nicholas. He said, you know, I'm afraid to say too much to him because I don't want him to go in a shell and never speak again or get to a point where he doesn't want to look at me because he saw his reaction as I did. You know, when he said the word missing and Nick's dreams were shattered. He's really scared, that young man.
Were they very different people?
Oh, yes. Yeah. He is from Oklahoma. I don't see a match at all. I don't even know how that happened. I'm like, wow. Not a good thing, because their mentality, they're much slower. The way he thought, I think she would just shake her head like a dog would. Like, what is this guy saying to me? She's too smart for that. Way too smart for him. He was better off marrying someone that he could lead around. I think he would try and brainwash her. For Michelle to even consider that, and she probably did for a little while in the marriage.
Well, she moved up here in August of 2000.
Yeah.
Right.
So they were in a trial separation?
I think he's got a
him.
question mark on
So,
the top of his head.
You want to lose Nicholas? Keep talking the way you're talking.
not
And you're
gonna
going to
happen.
lose him.
It's not
That's what
gonna
you
happen.
think.
He
No,
has
I
every
know.
right. He is the father. You
When
cannot
he's
take
talking
him
the way
away.
you do it, he's going to take him away, okay? Just
I
keep
spoke to a
talking.
lawyer. I already spoke to a lawyer.
You're going to lose him. She talks. You might think it's right, but you don't know her. You don't know her.
Either.
I know.
For that
I know.
matter.
You're the devil right there.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, as long as you got angels all over the house.
Yeah.
The devil's right there.
yeah.
That's why when she keeps talking, you're just pissing off people more and more. Okay? If I was Bobby, I'll take my kids and leave. Because all you're doing is breaking him down. Breaking him down.
No.
Okay.
For all those years they were
Okay,
married,
all right,
he didn't
you're
even
right,
want to
you're
be
right.
with
All
her.
right, them two didn't go along. Okay, they separated.
He could
But by
care
you
less.
guys, but by
He
you
could care
guys,
less, though. I can
okay,
tell you that.
but
He could
as,
care
as
less.
the guy said, Bobby has the upper hand now. Okay? So you guys
I
can talk
can't
as
say
much
that.
as you want.
I can't say that.
He has the
doesn't.
upper hand.
No,
He's
he
the
does
father.
not.
Okay, come on.
He does not.
Whatever.
You know what?
What proof? What proof do you have?
Wait, I'm
What
gonna tell
proof do
you.
you tell
I'm
me?
gonna
Tell me.
There's enough people willing to go on trial to speak for the kid, for the kid's welfare.
What are you gonna say? What are you gonna say?
Gonna
Bobby's
talk
not
to
a
anybody.
stupid man.
He
Yeah,
doesn't
because he
talk to
doesn't want to
anybody.
talk to you for one thing. Okay? He talked to your father and he talked to me.
Uh-huh.
He's not a stupid man, Bobby, as you think he is. Okay? And
He's
all he
just
does,
slow. Nobody's
and all
saying
he
he's
does
stupid.
is talk
He's
about
slow.
Nicholas. Okay? When what's right for Nicholas.
I'm glad he
And I
does,
and I
because you know
said it
what?
to him. I said
For
it to him.
Nicholas in
Listen.
7 years, he didn't talk
I
about
said,
it at all.
well, he's worried about him now.
I'm
okay?
glad.
Because he's the only one left. You haven't talked to Bobby at all, have you? Have you talked to Bobby at all about his future?
Has he talked to me about it?
Yeah, have you?
No.
Miss Know-It-All. Miss Know-It-All. Who's fucking up Cindy upstairs?
I don't know what happened.
Huh?
No.
But
Get
she
out of
was
here.
fine. She was fine, and you till you went and said something to her, and I don't know what you said, and she flipped out, and we were
What?
rushing. I don't know.
I don't know what
Yesterday.
you're talking about.
You come in, you come out of your basement there, you say a few words, you're nasty to your mother, to everybody else, and then you go back downstairs. Right? That's what you do.
I don't know what happened to Cindy.
Yeah, yeah.
No clue.
Right there.
Well, after you talked to her on the porch, she was upset, and they had to take her to a counselor last night, to a therapist.
Whatever you say.
Whatever you said to
I
her.
have no idea what I said.
Whatever you said, Susan, upset Cindy.
I have no idea.
Ethel's hands were already full taking care of Nicholas, and now she was concerned with her youngest daughter, Cindy, as well. When I met Cindy that very first night, she told me that if Michelle hadn't taken the time to call and leave that message on her answering machine, maybe her sister would be alive today. By the next day, Cindy had become catatonic.
She's looking to protect herself in the best way she knows how, and that is by shutting down. You want to hold your rosaries with that rosary beads? You hear that? That's her little daughter calling mommy, mommy. And you hear that? Do you want to go to your little daughter? Do you want to go to her now? You see, she's not responding because she's in such desperate pain.
It's okay to hurt, but you gotta get some help, kiddo. We miss you at work. You gotta come back home. Maybe Michelle can't, but you can. And I know you're in there, and I know you're listening to me. And you can hear me, Cindy. Cynthia. And Cindy, I know you're in there, and don't lock yourself out, and don't lock your kids out.
I want my baby back. Come on, Cindy. You're worried about my health. You came down and lectured me. Mom, make sure you take your medicine. Mom, make sure you sleep. Mom, make sure you eat. But you're not doing it.
Well, she's not gonna lose one, she's gonna lose two.
I want to cry for you.
Cindy, please. You gotta go to your mom. She needs you. God forgives if this Michelle is gone. She's gone. You can't bring her back. But you're not gone. You did nothing wrong. Your sister did nothing wrong. It was just an act of terrorism. It's like there's never going to be an end to it. No funeral service, no nothing. That her parents and her will never have any closure if they don't find Michelle.
Would you be okay if Dominic were to take you over to the hospital and let them get you something
So you feel a little
prescribed, some
better?
medication to make you feel a little better? Actually, Doc, maybe
Yeah.
maybe
They'll
Cindy
make
wants
you
to
feel
write it
better.
down. Go ahead and
Do you
write
want-
down yes or no, if that would be okay.
All right.
Medication, yes or no?
No.
You don't want any medication?
Then you want to do something natural? Aromatherapy or anything?
This is a yes or no
You
for
want-
food.
you
Are
wanna
you
eat?
hungry?
Yes.
Cindy, do you blame yourself for this tragedy? Do you blame yourself for this tragedy?
Listen, answer the question. Yes or no?
Okay, Cindy, it's May. Listen, there's been a major explosion at the World Trade Center. We don't know if it's a plane hit us or what.
Cindy, honey, talk to us.
Okay, I'm still in the building. We're evacuating now. I don't know if I'll be heading straight home or what.
Cindy, do you blame yourself for this tragedy?
We're trying to get the group together now to get down the stairs and get out of the building.
Why don't you ask her, Dominic?
Cindy. Cindy, look at me.
Look at
Cindy,
Dominic.
Do you blame yourself for this? Look at me. Do you blame yourself? Yes or no? Do you? Please, answer. You love me, right? Right? You love me? And answer. Do you blame yourself? Come on. Come on.
Do you...
Good girl. Good girl.
You promise, right? You don't blame yourself.
Right? You don't blame yourself? Huh? Right?
Dominic. Dominic. Why are you crying?
I hate to see you like this. Try to be strong for him. I can't anymore.
Eventually, we got Cindy to agree on a trip to the hospital where she met with a doctor who prescribed Zyprexa, an antipsychotic drug.
He likes to tease, and when he gets teased back, he don't like it.
In the meantime, Ethel's health was getting worse by the day. Cindy was no longer caring for her two little girls. So Ethel was now looking after Jackie and Nicolette as well.
Your clothes ready for school later, Nick.
Okay.
Nicholas hadn't lived with his father in Virginia since his parents separated a year ago. So Robert asked Nick's grandparents if he could just finish out the school year in Tottenville if Michelle didn't return home. All Gabby ever wanted out of life was a couple of kids and a wonderful husband. She was only 33 years old when she died, and she never got to realize either of those dreams. Of the thousands of people missing, Gabby was one of the few hundred actually identified and confirmed dead. And although they only found her foot, she was buried in a casket. The next day, Susan asked if Gilda and I would meet her for lunch. She wanted to tell us about some Nostradamus prediction she'd received.
That on the 9th month of the new century, which would now be September of 2001, at 45 degrees latitude, of which New York is at 41 degrees, at 45 degrees latitude, there would be a great fire in the sky that would hit these twin brothers and make them collapse due to chaos. And that the Third World War would begin while the city is still burning. The city of York is where these towers would be. The United States would succumb and they would win this war, but it would be worse than World War II and World War I both. It says it right there. I believe that it was true.
How does your family look at you?
Like on the, I want to say the oddball. I mean, I got a doctor of naturology, and my PhD is in spirituality, without ever leaving my house. It was through correspondence.
So you took a correspondence course, and they give you an actual PhD?
Yes. Yes. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the name of the school. I'm like actually married to my books. They all married, they all have children. I'm not.
Why did Dominic feel compelled to blame you for Cindy's state?
Because who are you going to blame, and why did she get like that? Because he has no clue how that could possibly happen.
He said you told Cindy that she sold her soul to the devil.
I don't call them demons. I would say a negative entity. She had a huge one on the left side.
What?
Like negative entity. Well, actually, probably more behind her. My spiritual work. The angels come, the saints come, Jesus will come, the archangels will all take care of that entity that comes. So I knew I could get rid of it. That was my purpose, being in that house, because I knew I could get rid of it. She couldn't handle that.
Does it have a face?
There's no face. You don't hardly ever see a face on these things, but they're dark and they usually have a hood.
Black?
What color?
Usually black. They're usually black.
Your sister, Cindy, is basically catatonic right now. You suggested aromatherapy.
I did.
What would be involved in aromatherapy? Describe that.
Well, candles. I said, Michelle's blessed. Because then I said to her, how do you know all those people that are missing, that God didn't use them to start a new colony somewhere else? I said, you don't know that, so let it go. You're not responsible.
Who was Michelle closest to, you or Cindy?
Both. I can't say one more than the other. I think the three of us were always together as a bond.
You said that you knew Michelle was dead before the rest of the family.
I did.
How?
Because in my spiritual background allowed me to connect to her through her name and date of birth that day, that afternoon, that Tuesday afternoon. I knew. I could feel the pain here. I felt the pain in the back. I said, okay, she can't breathe, but she's not hurt. And I could feel from the heart straight up to probably like the bottom of, I'm probably hitting the microphone, right? I'm sorry, because that's where the pain is. There was a lot of pain there. And I was saying to myself, oh my goodness, she's not in her body. Not
Was this
one
on
of the feelings.
Tuesday?
This was on Tuesday afternoon. Also, I was on the expressway driving on Staten Island, but I could see Manhattan. I could see the Twin Towers. I could see them burning. And all I got across, this is where your gut instinct would be, right here. I was able to see her because I have that ability to see the person. When you have an explosion, though, your soul and spirit get knocked like right out of your body right away. Her eyes were wide open. She looked straight at me. I looked straight at her, and I said, I know you can see me because I see you. Her mouth was not open, it was shut, but it was black. It was black. And I saw people like that because I was waiting to see confirmation on TV. Somebody, does anyone have this black one? And they did. I did see people like that.
You mentioned that your parents were pretty strict.
My father was in the Coast Guard, so everything was very regimental. We used to get punished where we'd have to stand against the wall for hours on end. Because it would be for hours. We each had our own section on this wall with our own knotty pine there. Hours on end. I was like, wow, we were not that bad to do that. But my father was strict and he wanted to make sure that we wouldn't stay bad. So none of us are bad. He didn't want bad children. Dinner was at 5:30. If we came in at 5:31, we could not eat until the next day. I hated it.
How do you think they'll be basically raising Nicholas now?
Not that way. They're not that way now at all. They're much more calm, much more relaxed. They're tired. When we were younger, they wouldn't tolerate much. Now they'll tolerate more, but their patience runs low. And then we often remind each other, okay, he's 7. Realize this, he's 7. And then Jackie's 3, you know, Nicolette's 9. So, there are kids there, so we always have to jump back to that. Okay, they're this age.
After lunch with Susan, we headed to Nicholas's grandmother's house. and she was angry. Angry at Cindy for neglecting her 2 little girls. Angry at Susan for a lot of things. Angry at Robert for not being there for Michelle and forcing her to take that job at the World Trade Center so she could pay the bills. Angry at Michelle for dying, and angry at Muslim people for raising a generation of terrorists who killed her daughter.
When I talked to you right after the attack, I asked if you had a problem with people from the Middle East that you bump into around here, other Muslims, and you said that you did at that point. Has that gotten worse? Has it gotten better?
I don't go to their stores, and most of the people are not of that persuasion around here. So I don't really see them, and I will not go into their stores. I stay secluded. You know, there's few stores I go to around here, and they're usually not in there. Death is too easy for them. I want them tortured. Tortured. Every piece of hair pulled out one by one, their eyes ripped out, their fingernails ripped off. I don't want them to die. I want them to be tortured. Dying is too easy, and it's too quick. I want them tortured first. And not only, I want everyone who was involved with this whole group done the same way. Women, children, men, all of them. Because they're only going to grow up and be the same way 10 years down the road. We'll have another generation doing this.
My dad's like the type of person you'd want to know like all the time. He's the one that would look out for you, like as a neighbor, as a father. He'd always be there for you no matter what. No matter what would happen, he'd always be your father, friend, or brother. It's like there's nothing else in the world. You don't realize how much you love him until he's gone. And when you realize that, it's horrible.
You just like never thought that you'd come home and not see your dad to ask him for something or say something or do something with him. It's like you come home one day and he's not going to be there ever again.
I just waited by the door hoping he'd come home, and I just kept waiting and waiting for I don't know how long, and then you go back to turn on the TV and you see that survivors coming out like from the 105th floor. You're like, oh my God, maybe he'll come home. And then you wait. I guess the hardest part was waiting for the first 24 hours, and you're like, he's not coming back.
But where exactly does Shabir work?
He works on the Windows of the World in the tower. He's a waiter there. And that morning he hadn't had work for about a week before that, and this morning they called him to go. And that morning he went 4 o'clock and he doesn't come back.
Yeah.
And that's the top of Tower 1?
Yeah, top of Tower 107th floor.
When I was running home, someone said before I left the school, I was running out, someone said it collapsed out the window. I'm like, what? So I just kept running. And there was a guy in the street, and I'm like, did it collapse? And just like one word, and he goes, yeah. And I just kept running harder. She said she felt bad, but after the first bombing, she's referring to the first attack, she said I have to go back to that place. And that's what she remembered telling him.
So Abdul, you and Shabir both worked in the World Trade Center when the bombing happened in '93?
I was there in 1993. And when the blast happened, I was on the same floor. I was there at that time, and he was there. Fortunately, we came out. We came out with a lot of smoke and inhalation and everything. But we came out alive. But this time when I saw it, when I saw the smoke on that first building, when I saw the smoke, I started crying because I knew what was going on. What was going on exactly, I could picture it because I was there at the first time. But this time it's a direct hit. It's like few floors below. There is no miracle in this world. With all the jet fuel going up and with the smoke. With the smoke itself, you suffocate there. I was there. I couldn't breathe in that smoke. That smoke was nothing. Comparison to this, that smoke was nothing. And I couldn't even breathe there.
He said he loved her very much.
बेसी मर्दा kita ko sinsanit tumalagi. She said the most things she remembered was every time that he had laughter in him. So she remembers the most.
I remember one day he, like just a regular day, he brought a cake and it said, it said like to the world's greatest kids, and I had 3 of us there.
You cry sometimes silently. You think what it would be like if it was here, and then you just cry.
Please pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a special prayer for Sabir Ahmed and for his family members and for his brothers and sisters and relatives. وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. Allah جناب
My father is a poor farmer. They give you, money to buy sweets and stuff like that, My uncle was pretty good. He was wealthy. I was in their house. I was about this big and he was small. And he gave me some money in my hand. He said, go buy something, sweet for yourself. I came home. I said, Mommy, Uncle gave me some money. She said, go take your brother. Take the brother. Go to the market and buy some sweets. I remember the day he was so happy. Always, if you love somebody, always say, I love you. I love you. Before you leave the house, because you don't come back.
I guess I would tell him I loved him, because I didn't get the chance to say that, or goodbye, or anything.
I miss you.
Shabir's 16-year-old son, Danbiar, was working on a school project about the attack on America. After our second meeting, he asked if he could come along and help out on some of the shoots with Nicholas's family. And although Danbiar didn't actually go inside Nick's grandmother's house or Michelle's apartment, Ethel reluctantly allowed the two boys to hang out. They instantly bonded.
Okay, well, I say thank you for participating in the contest.
After scouting out the dollar store, Nicholas decided that his favorite bakery was the perfect location for a scene in his new friend's school project, some sort of contest. $20 for anybody who could correctly identify Osama bin Laden,
Come on, Nick.
Al-Qaeda, Afghanistan, and Dan Biar's native country, Bangladesh.
And you got bin Laden, thank you, Nick. Bin Laden and Al-Qaeda correct. Hi, my name is Dan Biar. I'm doing a school project. It's a contest which you can win $20 in. Nick, can you count down?
3, 2, 1, and go.
First thing I'd like to do is locate Afghanistan on the map.
Beats the hell out of me. I never heard of it until recently. You sure it's on this map?
Yeah.
You have to circle it?
Sure, yeah, you circle what you believe is Afghanistan.
There.
Okay. And could you please name the country I'm from, which is Bangladesh, on this map located? Okay. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Nick, could you just count down?
Thank you.
Ready, Nick?
3, 2,
First thing, locate Afghanistan on the map.
I'll say no.
Okay. You answered one question correctly, which was Osama bin Laden.
Right.
The terrorist organization he heads is Al-Qaeda.
Oh, I never even heard of it. Okay.
You circled Israel.
Gosh.
Nick, count down.
3, 2, 1.
Locate Afghanistan.
So good.
Okay. The next thing is to name the leader of the terrorist organization that attacked America.
I don't know.
Afghanistan.
Say that again.
Afghanistan on the map. Okay. Second thing is to name the leader of the terrorist organization who attacked America.
Ethel hadn't been back to Michelle and Nicholas's apartment since the attack. So today, she decided to water the plants and just check on a few things for her missing daughter. But she was still convinced that Nicholas's mom would return home.
They put one coat and then they put a glaze on top of it. They spent one weekend doing that. He loves to draw, and he loves dinosaurs. He can name every dinosaur there is.
Oh, he's so smart. He's
Yes,
such
he
a
is.
bright child.
Yes, he's a very smart child.
Is this Michelle's desk here?
Yes. She worked from home on Fridays. That was, she made a deal, and on Fridays she stayed home and worked from here. Ah, I didn't know, I thought that was Florida. No, I can't look at that. That could be her tomb. I can't look at it.
It's okay. Oh, okay. Easy, 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 easy. Oh, okay, okay.
All right.
Easy, easy, easy.
Come on.
Okay,
Do we need smelling salts?
I should be all right. All right, easy, Grandma. Okay, okay. No. Okay, Grandma. Okay. Okay, okay.
Let me
easy.
get her some water.
Easy, Grandma. Easy. All right. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. It's okay. It's okay. No witches, sweetheart. It's okay. Be all right. Be all right. Okay? Okay. All right. Yeah, I need some water. Here, wait. Okay? Yes. Okay. Okay. Let's go. Sit. Sit. Sit.
Come on. Up we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Come on.
Ready?
Drink a little water.
Here we go. This will make you feel better. Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
All right. Easy, easy.
A little bit more. Let's take some water.
Okay.
Oh, it tastes terrible.
Yeah, I put my fingers in.
Well, you're back. You scared us for a second.
We're glad it tastes terrible.
Yeah, a little more.
All right. Easy. Okay. Deep breath.
I'm sorry. I can't look at that picture.
You need not be sorry for showing your feelings. You need not be sorry for having feelings. It's okay. And this is all part of the mourning process, honey.
She didn't want to work there.
Have you ever felt in any way responsible for Michelle taking the job at the World Trade Center?
No, not really. And the reason why I say that is she did have other opportunities. Why she chose Manhattan, I can't give you 100% reasoning back.
When I was talking to Susan and Ethel, they had mentioned that when you two separated, and Michelle did not want to work in Manhattan. She got the job at the World Trade Centers because you were not helping out with the bills or child support.
Okay.
So is that accurate?
Not 100%, no. When she came up here, while I was still in Virginia, because of the financial cost of renting a house, making a mortgage payment of the house, that while I was still in Virginia, that I would not be able to send her anything at that time. It would just, I wouldn't feasibly be able to do it.
She didn't want to go to
Okay.
Let me get up.
Yes, I know.
Let me get up.
Here, I'll take the water.
I'm sorry I keep doing this. No, I gotta get up on my own. I don't want to see that picture. Yeah, let's get out of here.
This was a picture of Michelle and her family, and you know, she was a New York girl, and I mean, she always had her hair like totally different from the way she looks here. She looks very country-esque. I used to say, Michelle, you look like a country bumpkin. Look at you, what happened to you? Because she was such the New York girl. I would say to her often, Michelle, what happened to you? Look at you. You're so different. And I don't know, even her dress, she would have to wear dresses to her ankles. Her husband did not want, he wanted a certain style, a certain look to the way she was. And he didn't want the world to see her, for that was only basically for his eyes only.
Susan had mentioned that your faith is rather an extreme faith, and that you were trying to change Michelle, that you had brainwashed her. She couldn't show her legs.
Well, that part's not totally true. The Bible does speak of modesty.
What religion are you?
Apostolic.
And what is that?
Salvation is Jesus' name, baptism, and filling with the Holy Ghost. Repentance talks about King David himself, danced before the Ark of the Covenant. It talks about clapping your hands, raising your hands in the sanctuary. Sing unto the Lord a new song. He said, clap your hands, all you people. Shouting to God with voice of triumph.
What about speaking in tongues? Is that a part of your faith?
That's very much part of my faith. You know, you go into in the book of John, chapter 3, you know, talk about Nicodemus. Speaking in tongues is just letting God take over. It's being filled with the Holy Ghost. That the Holy Ghost is the evidence of speaking in other tongues. And
can you do that at any time?
You know, if He gives you the utterance to do that, yes.
What's the youngest aged child you've seen speaking in tongues?
Actually 4 years old, and that was my brother. When I was going to church back in Oklahoma, he had done it when he was 4.
Are you going to continue raising Nicholas in a religious way?
Of course, yeah. He's a big guy. Actually, once...
Real life crab.
Oh, you did, huh?
Yeah, I'll show you.
Yeah, you can show me? You found a real-life crab?
Yeah, by the shell area.
Yeah, can we go see it?
Yeah, sure.
We'll check it out.
Many people are going to be saddened by what has happened to her because tremendous energy. The girl I grew up with, she's gone now. She's not going to come back. And that's the part that I don't like that. But I know that she'll always be in my heart. She'll never go away. I'll just have to feel her spiritually and know that she's there. Because I know I'll never get to touch her again. It's just hard. She's a good person. It's just hard to believe that she's not coming back.
What happened in Manhattan?
My mom got lost that day. So then, because the Twin Towers own like 2 buildings, so something bad happened. And next, she got missing.
Yeah.
It was like my mom got missing in one small place.
Small?
It was small there, but in Jersey City, it's like a huge place.
Yeah.
So if she took a cab to Jersey, that would be the hard part. But I'm thinking that she's at Jersey now.
Oh, you think she's in Jersey?
Yes.
And that people are looking for her.
Right. But she's in Manhattan.
But she's really in Manhattan.
Yeah. So the people are looking for her, and then next they have to call up me or my dad. Because this started when a person fell. And guess what? Bleeding from his head.
A person fell and he was bleeding from his head?
Her. My grandma told me that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was like exhausted when that happened.
All Nicholas knew was that his mother had been missing for 9 days. Robert decided he would finally try to tell Nicholas about his mom on day 10. That's today. But even after a 3-hour lunch with Dr. Gilda, Robert was still struggling with the burden of telling Nicholas that his mother is dead.
It's funny, a lot of times I can prepare my insides for certain things. I know it's going to be hard.
If you could make a breakthrough, then it'll be much easier to tell Nicholas exactly what has happened. Not his mother is not coming home or his mother's out, but that your mom is dead. What you have to do is a tough job. And a little 7-year-old's whole life may be dependent upon how you're going to position this fact and then support it. Can you say those 3 words? For Nicholas.
Why is the spotlight here?
They could lighten things up. Here, sit down, man. Sit down. Sit down and relax with me. Okay? What you got? Okay, here, I want you to talk to you for a minute, okay? I want you to put this down. I want you to listen to me, okay? Remember the talk I had with you the other day? Yeah, about Mom? You remember that? And I told you that, that she was missing? Yes, sir.
Did they find her?
No, they didn't find her, little man. And...
Oh, Dad, there's a special street that you get lost in.
yeah, just down New York City, there's probably a lot of streets you can get lost in. But listen to me for a minute, okay? Mom's not going to be coming home, little man.
So when?
Mom's not coming home. Something happened to Mom in New York City, okay? Mom has died, okay? And you know how Max, he went up to heaven? That's where Mom is right now. Go ahead and cry, all right?
Dad, why are you crying? Dad, why are you crying? I don't want her to die.
I don't want to die either.
No, my friends in New York will say it again. How come Mommy died?
She was in that accident in New York City.
What happened?
No, man. I don't know how to explain it. Okay, maybe this is where I need your help.
Dad, it's okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be okay. You okay, little man? No. You just wanna go home?
If my mom had an injury, I would have an injury. And I want my mommy back.
I know you do, little man.
Dad,
Yes, sir.
will you find a new wife?
Can I find a new wife?
Yeah.
You want a new mommy? And maybe in time we can do that. Okay? That doesn't happen overnight. No, it doesn't happen that quick, little man. That doesn't happen that quick. Want to go for a walk?
Okay, I guess.
Okay, you guess.
Dad,
Yes, sir.
can we go to Virginia?
You want to go to Virginia?
Yeah, with you.
Yeah, you can go with me.
How do we quit Boy Scouts in school? How do we do that?
I don't know. I don't know, little man. We'll have to find out, okay?
Dad,
What?
tomorrow when soccer's over, go to the bakery, not the bakery, the dollar store.
You want to go to the dollar store after the soccer game?
Yeah.
Okay, we can do that. I think we can do that.
Tonight we're gonna pray.
You better believe it.
Jesus to give my mommy back.
We'll pray real hard tonight, okay?
Dad,
Yes, sir.
I don't wanna die.
Oh, little man, you're not gonna die.
No.
Hey,
Hi. Did you just get some ice cream?
Nah.
Where'd you go?
yeah, he was inside.
You inside?
Yeah, down the street when Ice Cream Man was here.
Oh.
You missed out on the ice cream.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see Grandma and
I
Pop.
had ice cream also.
Is there ice cream in the house?
Yeah, I had ice cream this morning.
For breakfast?
No. For breakfast.
For what?
When it was like, when Nicolette came home.
Nicolette, and you had ice cream maybe for lunch?
This is a little snack.
I'm going inside for a minute.
Yeah.
There's Paul right there.
Dad.
This is C. You can come inside for a minute?
Sure will. I'll talk to time, sir. That's it.
Mommy died.
He's trying to tell you something.
Mom died.
Oh, but. Hold on. Tight. You got Grandma, Pop, yes, Miss Sybil, Uncle Don, Nikki, Jackie. Your mom is my daughter.
No.
That's Grandma's daughter. I'm so sorry. You cry right on my shoulder. Nicholas, she is with God. She may not be standing alongside of us, but she's sitting alongside of God. That's for sure. We'll be strong, and Nick, we'll be together. We'll be strong. Yeah, go ahead, you cry, buddy.
Get some help over here.
She's awake. This is the first time she's dealt with the reality.
She's with
See? Look at. So Nicholas, come over here.
Yeah, Grandma needs
Yeah,
you.
Grandma needs you
She needs
right
a
now.
hug, I think.
Don't worry.
We miss our best friend, Buddy. We lost our best friend.
Right.
Mommy's watching us from heaven, and we need each other. We gotta be family. Mommy would want that.
So it's okay if you always have me.
I will. I know I will. I know you're my buddy. Even when Grandma hollers at him, he's still my buddy.
Totally amazed the way, he took it and how he reacted.
You feel a lot better right now than you thought you were going to feel?
Yes, I really did.
Yeah, you gonna stay with Grandma? Huh? Okay. That's it.
Just, I have no idea how nervous I was
Yes, we do.
beforehand. The hard part was going to that point to telling him that Michelle died.
Yeah, I know. I don't understand this.
Okay, Sandy.
Help yourself, Grandpa.
I help them who help themselves, but God help them who give good.
They never found Michelle's body, so the family just had a memorial service a few days later. As the days passed, I found out about more and more people I knew who were killed in the attack. 18 at my gym alone. The wrap party for my last film was canceled. It had been scheduled for the week of the attack. In that one instant, my view of the world was changed forever. Everybody's view of the world was changed, including one little boy who lives in Staten Island, in the last town in New York, in the little town of Tottenville. Back to you, Nicholas.
Nicholas, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, action, Nick.
Today is my mom's memorial. When the priest said Mommy's name, Grandma fainted again.
Michelle Lanza, we pray to the Lord.
I just cried and hugged my daddy's hand. My mom will always be my hero. I wish she could watch me grow up. After the memorial, Dad took me to the dollar store. Grandma and Grandpa walked home with my new friend, Damiar, for cake and ice cream. This is Nicholas Lanza signing off. I love you, Mom.
You're laying down to sleep. I pray your soul keeps safe with Daddy, little one. To me, you still belong. I didn't choose to leave you, but Mommy's gone. You, my child, are not alone. So many others still are weeping and be watching everything you do. And when you're sleeping, I'll send a dream to you.